Cannabis, scientifically known as Cannabis sativa, is one of the most complex plants in human history. Once a respected industrial and medicinal commodity, it was banned in the 20th century under global narcotics conventions. Today, cannabis is being reevaluated worldwide, influencing science, law, and economics. According to the BMJ Medical Journal, 2022, cannabis is among the fastest-growing fields of medical and policy research. Cannabis contains more than 100 cannabinoids. The two most significant are tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, responsible for psychoactive effects, and cannabidiol, or CBD, which is non-psychoactive but therapeutically promising. Based on chemical content, cannabis is classified into recreational cannabis, medical cannabis, and industrial hemp. This classification follows standards from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction. Cannabis use dates back to 2737 BC in ancient China, recorded in traditional medicine. In India, the Sanskrit word ganja reflects its cultural roots, tied to rituals honoring Lord Shiva. In Indonesia, particularly Aceh, cannabis was historically used in cuisine, such as kuah bulangong, as noted in National Geographic Indonesia. These traditions show cannabis as a cultural and practical commodity. Long before modern prohibition, modern research has identified the endocannabinoid system, a network of CB1 and CB2 receptors regulating mood, pain, appetite, and memory. THC binds strongly to CB1 receptors, producing euphoria, while CBD interacts more weakly and shows potential therapeutic effects. This was confirmed by clinical studies published in the National Center for Biotechnology Information, NCBI, and FDA reports. Cannabis has demonstrated therapeutic value where conventional medicine struggles. According to the British medical journal, BMJ, medical cannabis is effective in chronic pain management. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved cannabinoid-based drugs to treat nausea and vomiting caused by chemotherapy. Meanwhile, CBD has shown success in reducing seizures and treatment-resistant epilepsy, including Dravet and Lennox-Gastaut syndromes. Heavy use of high THC cannabis is associated with increased risks of psychosis, schizophrenia, and cognitive impairment, especially among young users. A report by Health Canada warns of cardiovascular and respiratory issues linked to cannabis smoking. Research from Adelaide University also highlights risks during pregnancy, including effects on fetal development. The U.S. follows a state-based model. California legalized medical cannabis in 1996, starting a wave of reform. Colorado alone has generated over $5 billion in cannabis sales and more than $500 million in tax revenue, according to the Colorado Department of Revenue. Canada, in contrast, legalized medical and recreational cannabis nationwide in 2018 under federal law, creating a unified regulatory system. Germany operates Europe's largest medical cannabis market. The United Kingdom allows medical cannabis in restricted cases. The Netherlands maintains its tolerance policy through coffee shops. Portugal took a public health approach, decriminalizing all drugs in 2001. According to the European Drug Report 2025, this model has significantly reduced overdose deaths and infections. The global cannabis market is expanding rapidly. Fortune Business Insights projects the legal market will reach tens of billions of dollars in the coming years. In the United States, states that legalize cannabis have collected nearly $25 billion in tax revenue since legalization, according to the Marijuana Policy Project. These figures demonstrate how legalization is also an economic catalyst. According to the U.S. National Institutes of Health, THC strongly activates CB1 receptors in the brain, producing intoxication, but also anxiety and memory loss. CBD, however, has no psychoactive effects and is considered safer, with potential as an anti-inflammatory, anti-seizure, and even antipsychotic agent. This distinction justifies why CBD is legally sold as a supplement in many countries, while THC remains restricted. One of the most striking examples comes from Indonesia. The case of Ibu Santi, widely reported in Indonesian media, involved a woman prosecuted for cultivating cannabis to treat her husband's illness. She faced severe legal consequences despite her humanitarian intention. This case highlights the conflict between rigid narcotics law and the urgent medical needs of patients, showing how compassion and tradition are often overlooked by modern prohibition. Such cases demonstrate a wider pattern. In places like Aceh, cannabis was historically used in cuisine, as documented by National Geographic Indonesia. Yet today, individuals like Ibu Santi face prosecution for medical use. This illustrates the tension between cultural heritage, humanitarian necessity, and modern prohibitionist law. Experts recommend 3 key strategies. First, invest in further research to understand long-term effects of cannabinoids. Second, adopt diverse regulatory models, from medical legalization to decriminalization, depending on local context. Third, prioritize public education to clarify the differences between THC and CBD. These recommendations come from studies by the World Health Organization and BMJ Open. The cannabis story is one of transformation, from ancient medicine and spiritual use to modern prohibition and now toward legalization and regulation. Change is driven by history and conflict with prohibition, scientific discoveries separating THC from CBD, and powerful economic incentives. As noted in the European Drug Report 2025, cannabis is no longer just a forbidden plant. It is a multidimensional issue at the intersection of science, culture, law, and the global economy. This documentary is based on research and reports from multiple reputable sources, including BMJ Medical Journal, 2022, Health Canada, National Geographic Indonesia, European Drug Report, 2025, Fortune Business Insights, Marijuana Policy Project, and documented Indonesian legal cases such as the prosecution of Ibu Santi.